In a normally very quiet neighborhood, somebody called the police because of strange, spooky sounds coming from an old, empty house. The police were spread thin at the time and could only send Officer Daniels. His partner stayed at the station. This could not be a dangerous mission, right? He went to the place, not knowing what to expect. But as soon as he arrived, he knew that there was something seriously off about this place. Before we start our story, smash the like button. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notifications bell so you won't miss any new stories. Officer Daniels could not take his eyes off the house from the moment he arrived. There was something so eerie about this strange place. It felt like he was about to set foot in a haunted house. He took a deep breath and tried to compose himself. This was not the kind of scared behavior he should be displaying as an officer of the law. He first went to the house of the neighbor who called in the tip of the strange sounds. The houses were fairly far apart in the area of the town, and Daniels realized that the neighbor who called did not actually live next to the house. He arrived at her place after a solid 10 minutes of walking and found out she had actually been walking her dog past the house, something she had not done before and would never do again. Ever since she moved into the part of town a couple of months ago, she had heard people around telling stories about that house. Stories about what had happened to the owners, about unexplainable things happening between its walls, and some people even went as far as to say the place was haunted by ghosts. All things that the woman herself did not really believe in. But all those stories had still been enough to keep her away from the house for the past couple of months. But today, she had wanted to walk a different route with her dog and just so happened to come past the house. Something inside of her motivated her to stop and really take the old house in. And that is when she started to hear the strange and slightly concerning noises. She could not exactly describe it, but it definitely sounded like somebody was present in the abandoned house. And the woman was sure it was not just her mind playing tricks on her due to all the stories she heard. She knew that might be hard to just believe for Officer Daniels, but luckily she had thought of that at the time of hearing the noises as well, and so she had recorded them. Officer Daniels listened intently to the recordings. It was not easy to hear, but he could for sure make out some sounds that should not come from a supposedly abandoned house. There were indistinct whispers, hammering, or some other banging sound, and it even sounded like something fell and broke. So if this video was not altered in any way, that had to mean that something was happening inside that house. With how busy everybody already was back at the station, he would have to have a really good reason to call up extra help. He had to be sure that there was somebody inside that building that he could not deal with alone. Otherwise, he would definitely be reprimanded for unnecessarily calling in reinforcements, and Daniels could not have that associated with him. He thanked the woman for her insight and call. But deep down, Daniels wished that she had never walked past that house in the first place, because now he had to deal with this. With the feeling of lead in his shoes, he returned to the house. The weather was still great, but in Daniel's mind he saw clouds packing together above that dreaded old house. What was he getting himself into? He walked up to the entrance, having done everything to regain his composure. He knocked on the door, but as Daniels expected, he did not get any response. The house stayed completely silent. He did not even hear the noises that the woman had let him hear. Daniels hesitated about what to do next. Officer Daniels carefully circled the perimeter, seeking an entry that wouldn't require force. The yard was unkempt, with tall weeds partially obscuring the lower windows. As he moved, he kept a keen eye out for any sign of disturbance or a subtle entry point that could be used without causing damage. The quiet of the neighborhood surrounded him, adding tension to his search for an accessible window or unlocked door. Eventually, Daniel spotted an open window, its frame slightly raised. After a brief hesitation, he carefully pushed it further open, creating just enough space to climb through. As he entered, a wave of dust stirred into the air, catching the light from his flashlight. He landed inside on the creaky floorboards, disturbing the years of silence that had settled in the abandoned home. Once inside, the silence seemed to press in on Daniels. The air was thick, heavy with the smell of mold and disuse. With each step, Daniel's flashlight sliced through the darkness, revealing a scene frozen in time. No signs of recent habitation were evident, only the decay of abandonment. He moved slowly, wary of the unknown, as the house's neglected state became ever more apparent. The deeper Daniels went, the more the house seemed untouched by time, yet abandoned by its inhabitants. Each room told a story of sudden departure, a dining table set but covered in dust, children's toys scattered, and an old newspaper lying on a coffee table. Daniels carefully explored each room, noting the vintage decor and faded photographs. The house remained eerily frozen in time, its silence amplifying the sense of solitude. Footprints in the dust marked his passage, the only sign of disturbance in years. In the kitchen, empty cupboards and an unplugged refrigerator confirmed the house's long abandonment. The absence of food or working utilities painted a clear picture of neglect. Daniels checked drawers and cabinets, each confirming the home's emptiness. As he retraced his steps, he noticed his were the only footprints. The silence felt heavier, as if the house itself was waiting for its occupants to return. Each room deepened the mystery, urging him to uncover the truth behind its forgotten history. Ascending the creaky staircase, Daniels steadied himself against the fragile banister. At the top, the decay mirrored the lower floors, except for one anomaly, a door, newer than the rest, standing firmly shut. Unlike the other worn and unhinged doors, this one was locked and reinforced, an oddity in the crumbling house. Examining the heavy-duty locks, Daniels realized whatever lay beyond was intentionally secured. His attempts to force it open failed. Brute strength wasn't enough. He needed tools, and the locked door only intensified his curiosity. As he contemplated returning with the right equipment, the floor beneath him suddenly collapsed. He plunged downward, landing hard on a cold surface below. Disoriented and in pain, he struggled to make sense of what happened. Darkness enveloped him, and as he tried to call for help, a chilling realization struck. Someone had intentionally sealed the trapdoor above him. Fear crept in. This was no ordinary abandoned house. Alone in the pitch-black space, Daniels feels the weight of his predicament. The silence is suffocating, and every movement sends pain through his body. He's trapped with no immediate escape, left to wonder who or what set this trap. Despite weak reception, he manages to send a distress text, a glimmer of hope in the darkness. Time crawls as he waits, his mind racing through possibilities of who could be behind this. Then footsteps and voices echo from above. He's not alone. Fear and determination surge through him. He must escape, but before he can act, his phone vibrates. Help is on the way. The relief is fleeting as he hears the commotion upstairs. The voices turn frantic. Whoever is in the house knows rescue is imminent. The distant sound of sirens grows louder. Daniel shouts, guiding the officers to the trapdoor. They pry it open, lifting him to safety. Dust fills the air, obscuring any clues left behind by the fleeing figures. With Daniel secure, the officers turn their focus to the fortified door. The battering ram slams into it, sending echoes through the empty halls. After several blows, the door finally gives way, revealing an unexpected sight: an empty room. Daniels recounts the sounds he heard while trapped. The rushed departure suggests the house was in use until his arrival disrupted their operations. The stark emptiness speaks volumes. Whoever was here cleared out quickly, erasing all traces of their activities. Despite the disappointment, investigators remain hopeful. Even the smallest overlooked clue could unravel the mystery of the house's true purpose. The reinforced locks and storage containers hint at a past of illicit dealings, now shrouded in secrecy. The police take note of the empty room's significance, piecing together its past use. Among the few remnants, Daniel spots a discarded box containing a slip of paper, an address. This overlooked clue ignites his determination. It could be the key to unraveling the network behind the house's activities. With the new lead, Daniels joins a small surveillance team. The proximity of this address to the original house suggests a connected operation, demanding a cautious approach. As they observe from a distance, they note the heavy activity, vehicles coming and going at all hours. Through binoculars, armed guards are spotted patrolling the perimeter. The exchange of numerous boxes hints at the scale of the operation. Recognizing the growing threat, Daniels calls for backup, ensuring the raid is executed with overwhelming force. As the police move in, the element of surprise works in their favor. The occupants are caught off guard, minimizing resistance. Inside, the discovery of stolen goods confirms the house's role as a hub for illegal operations. The sheer volume of contraband highlights the network's reach. Further investigation reveals that the abandoned house was a decoy, its eerie reputation intentionally cultivated to keep outsiders away. The ghost stories were a clever cover, ensuring the real operation remained undisturbed. The odd noises, reported by neighbors, were not supernatural, but signs of the criminals accelerating their activities. With arrests made, trials begin, exposing more about the network's operations. Law enforcement intensifies efforts to dismantle the remaining factions, determined to bring the entire criminal organization to justice. The breakthrough that started with Daniels' ordeal now drives the hunt to its final stage. What started as a simple investigation into an abandoned house turned into the unraveling of a secret criminal network. Daniels' unexpected fall into darkness led to the discovery of a sophisticated operation hidden in plain sight. Thanks to his persistence and the swift action of law enforcement, the criminals were brought to justice and their illicit activities were exposed. But mysteries like this exist everywhere, waiting for those brave enough to uncover the truth. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more thrilling investigations, don't forget to like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. Do you think there's more to this house's mystery? What would you have done in Daniel's place? Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest stories.